Hey there, everyone. I'm here to talk about chaga mushrooms, and if you're not familiar with chaga, you will be by the end of this video, I hope, because I think that it is a very underrated. Um, I will stop short of calling it a medicine because that word is so convoluted these days. We have the pharmaceutical industry on one hand, and then we have the natural medicine on the other hand. And the two are constantly in competition and butting heads by talking crap about each other. But in reality, most of the pharmaceuticals are originally derived from natural sources. But we'll get into that. Some of my favorite mushrooms that I take personally are red reishi, cordyceps, and chaga and lion's mane. And I have different types of extracts, and there are many different methods for extracting this. But I just want to say before I go any further, none of this is intended to be medical information. I have to give the disclaimer that this is all just my own thoughts. And I personally do take chaga. I find it to be delicious, for one. I put it in my coffee. So I was going to use this as a prop, but I've already drank almost all of it. But this is a pretty heavy dosage, like 2 full teaspoons of chaga extract in like a triple espresso, and it tastes wonderful. It's very dark, kind of tastes similar to like a, I don't know. It's mild. Let's put it that way. It's not hard to down, and neither is lion's mane. These mushrooms are very simple to eat, and you can put them in just about anything. But here's the key: a lot of people actually do sell just whole mushrooms on the market. You cannot get the benefits buying raw mushrooms. It's not possible because the cell walls in the mushrooms are made of a material called chitin. Chitin is the same stuff that's used in insects in their exoskeletons. It's very strong, and your body doesn't break it down. Even an alcohol extract of, I believe, say, chaga or reishi doesn't necessarily get all the components out and break down the walls completely. That's why you have to use a hot water extraction. So, in other words, using hot water is a very good way to make sure that you get the most out of it, which is why I put it in my coffee just in case, even though it's already extracted. But the reason why I'm making this, because I've always been a fan of mushrooms. I even sold a blend for a while, the flu blend, a few years back. And agarikon is another one, as well as turkey tail. These are very well-known mushrooms, and in the Pacific Northwest, well, the agaricon's a little rare, but turkey tail's plentiful. And these mushrooms have been shown to fight cancer and to have so many benefits. So I'll just read the list since I have it in front of me from the benefits of chaga itself. And these are just the compounds it contains. It's got the B complex vitamins, vitamin D, potassium, rubidium, cesium, amino acids, fiber, copper, selenium, zinc, iron, manganese, magnesium, and calcium. And that's just to name a few. And these are just the basic components of, for what we see as vitamins. This is what we as humans are looking for. We say, what things do we think keep us alive? Well, it's these vitamins that we've always assumed. But you won't see on that list things like polyphenols and triterpenes and polysaccharides, which are extremely important. The chaga that I have been taking right here, it's a dark brown, almost blackish, and this cordyceps extract here, or this chaga extract here, it's standardized to a minimum of 10% beta glucans and 2% triterpenes. And it's pretty much Greek to anybody, and even to me, and this is the point I'm trying to make here. Now, I've read so many different forums, comment sections, discussions about COVID over the last couple of years. And I see people fighting and arguing about taking one pharmaceutical versus another. And they say, well, I'm not taking the shot, I'm going to take this instead because it's been shown as an antiviral. And other people say, well, I'm going to wait for something else that's approved to come along. And science right now, and pharmaceutical science especially, is so completely screwed that we don't even know who to trust. In fact, I was just earlier watching a DW documentary. It was about the loss of trust in science. Because we know that, say, big tobacco and sugar companies, things like this, they like to convolute the fucking information, and pardon my language, but there's a lot of lying going on out there. Therefore, there's so much information omitted because it's not talked about. But I've talked to people, they say, why aren't more people talking about chaga during a pandemic? Chaga is a well-known antiviral, antimicrobial, antiviral, antibiotic, and antioxidant. In fact, if you want to go back to the roots of our first antibiotics, penicillin was made from a fungi. People like to say mushroom, but the mushroom's actually just the fruiting part. The fungi itself can be the mycelium. It can stretch for miles in some strains. And let's just say that fungi are not, first off, they're not plants. For those who don't realize this, they are actually closer to humans when you compare DNA than plants. They are their own classification, the fungal kingdom. They are everywhere. We're constantly surrounded by molds and different mushrooms, and we know this, but historically, some of these have been used for centuries. In fact, they found a man frozen in ice that had some, I believe, like turkey tails in his pouch, or some sort of a polypore fungus that they would take for their immune system. Mushrooms have to sit out in the middle of the woods by themselves, sometimes for years or even decades. The agarikon can be decades old, and they have to be able to protect themselves against the wind, the rain, the insects, the other molds that will invade them. Because of this, they develop compounds that we don't even begin to understand. So my question would be, how much do we trust man over science? Well, to answer the question earlier about, this would depend on the medicine, of course, but the reason why these aren't being talked about, the reason why they're not being studied, the reason why they're not being shared, just like a lot of these other compounds, is because they cannot be patented. It's that simple. You cannot make money patenting mushrooms. If you're a pharmaceutical company, you have to work with the compounds you have, but you cannot patent and own them. Anybody can make it. Therefore, they don't even put the effort in. This is why we don't make new antibiotics, because there's no money in it. The thing is that modern science and technology and the study of pharmaceuticals has always been about profit motive. And to return to the cost of treatments, if you will, a lot of people have talked about, these other compounds, which I don't even want to mention because then it probably gets my video, somehow censored or put on a list because I'm talking about, let's just say, the horse dewormer. Let's just go with that, right? Everybody who talks about taking that, even, people who have a doctor who prescribes it, human dosage, it's not just for horses, and it works for them, then it works for them. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But the point is, it's a generic drug. Anyone can make it. Nobody can make money off of it. But all of a sudden, Merck, out of the blue, comes up with this little red pill called molnupiravir. Now, to give you the point, it's about 50 cents per dose for, one of these other horse dewormers, right? 30 to 50 cents per dose. Whereas right now they're charging $720 for a 10-pill regimen of these red pills, molnupiravir. And not only that, but if you study the actual compound itself, in animal studies, it's been shown to cause birth defects. And there's a fear, even some of the people who were involved in the research said, well, the way it works is by entering the virus and causing mutations as it replicates. I don't know if this tells you anything, but the fear is that it may enter your own DNA as well and cause the same types of problems that you wouldn't notice for years later, which would manifest as cancer or something else. Double down with the chaga, and then I don't have to really worry about that. And on top of that, it has anti-cancer properties, which, yes, have been studied. And I will read that to you right now. This is from ScienceDirect.com, and this was the study they did. And it said the key findings of this study they did with chaga. The extract of chaga caused significant tumor suppressive effects in both models. Thus, in tumor-bearing mice, 60% tumor reduction was observed. 60%. While in metastatic mice, the number of nodules decreased by 25% compared to the control group. Moreover, mice that were treated with the extract demonstrated the increase in tumor agglomeration and inhibition of vascularization. Okay, it gets technical, but interestingly, intake decreased body weight in middle-aged mice and increased body temperature in response to light-dark switching in mature adult mice. Anyway, the point being that it says, our findings suggest that the extract could be used as a natural remedy for cancer suppression by promoting energy metabolism. So, if you get into these articles, they're so scientific and technical. But the point is that they're there and they have done these studies. And they're continuously finding benefits of mushroom extracts. Why has this not been talked about at all? Why is nobody over the last 2 years talking about the benefits of chaga or red reishi? Or hell, even cordyceps. Cordyceps right here. Cordyceps is a phenomenal, I mean, yes, it's the one that grows on ants and on worms underground, but it can be grown, and harvested indoors. This stuff is what is it, 1.5% beta glucans. It's got adenosine, cordycepin. Cordycepin is the main cordyceps compound, but it's like the powder is kind of chalky and it's sticky. It's all those those terpenes in it, triterpenes, and the polysaccharides that make it sticky. And saccharides, just like saccharin, it's a type of sugars, and these sugars are completely different from your standard sugar, obviously. But me as a novice, as a guy who doesn't really know all the science, all I can do is go by what I've learned over the years. And it's like I feel like I can't even express it. The reason I haven't even talked about mushrooms much is because I feel like almost defeated. Like, natural remedies are consistently ridiculed. But this isn't just some new compound that popped up out of the nowhere. These have been taken for thousands of years with success around the world. Now, chaga grows, it actually grows as a nodule, like a big black chunk on a birch tree. There's a lot of them out in the east coast, not so much out here in the west. I've gone looking, but haven't had any luck. But it kind of grows as what it looks like a wart or a disease. And, there's so many of these things around. You see them all over the place. And so many different fungi growing on different buildings and bricks and trees that we wonder, what are the benefits that we don't understand here yet? And the reason the studies aren't done is because there's no profit to be made, and therefore we're going with synthetics for almost everything. It's wild. It really is. And like I said, taking this instead of chemotherapy, for example, they said that some of these mushrooms can actually target the cancer cells without targeting your own cells. So using chemotherapy is like using a shotgun to kill a fly. Whereas you could use a blowgun instead, be a little more specific. But anyway, I could go on forever, I guess, but the one thing is to sow doubt, and that's what they've always done. These larger companies that can't make money, they will just sow doubt about natural products. And it's up to us to know whether they're completely full of crap or whether or not they might be right. Because there are a lot of natural products on the market that are garbage. And yes, there's some fake chaga out there. You want it to be dark brown. It should have a unique flavor, and you should know what you're buying. But you have to trust your source. And because the natural medicines market is so flooded with garbage, I guess people have a right to be critical. But the same thing happens in the pharmaceutical industry. So, like turkey tail, some of these others have been shown to fight herpes virus, Ebola, flu, chicken pox, and other poxes. It's amazing how many antiviral properties have been proven. But then when a new virus comes, everybody just ignores it. Maybe that's a good thing. There's not enough chaga on Earth for everyone. And the thing is, there are probably plenty of other plants that do the same thing, and many other different methods for us to boost our immune systems. But I would like to say that I think that chaga is probably one of the best ones, and it's fortunate that more people don't take it, because then nobody would be able to get it. It's like one of those things. As soon as something's in demand, it's gone. You know what I mean? But I'd recommend it to my peeps, for sure, and my viewers, if it's something that... So, like, when I went to see Fish last month, I remember I was like, I'm going to hang out with a bunch of people. I'm going to be partying for 3 or 4 days, and I'm not vaccinated, so I'm going to just take a bunch of chaga before I go. And while I'm there, I took my capsule blend. And we came back. My son rode back with us. He got sick. A few people in his group all got sick. And we were all in close quarters the whole time, And my wife and I never got sick. And I was like, well, I wonder if it was the chaga or just luck. And I don't know. But then didn't think much of it. And then yesterday my son said his nose hurt, kind of. And when he got home I picked him up from school, and he's like, oh, my throat hurts. And I was like, is it your nose? He's like, yeah, the back of my nose. It was like right then I knew that he had a sinus problem and that he was getting sick. And as I'm sitting here telling you this, I feel my eyes watering, my nostril was so clogged last night. It was just like, oh, and it hurt. And then this morning it got a little better, then it got worse, then it got better, then it got worse. And I feel like I'm kind of going back and forth where I'm at that point where I could easily get sick. And so this morning I loaded up on chaga. Probably took more than I possibly could utilize, but I'd rather have too much than not enough. And now I'm just going to wait and see what happens. Since COVID started, I've been sick probably maybe just mildly like a couple times, but I haven't, I don't think I've caught that yet. Maybe I did have it, or maybe I'm immune. I just have no idea. But I don't really care anymore. I do trust that my immune system is fine, and if I end up in a casket, then so be it. I do my best. So anyway, chaga, highly recommended. Just wanted to share that with you all, and I'm probably going to have some on my website pretty soon. The guy I buy from only sells in larger quantities, but I was going to sell either capsules or ounces, but I'm not quite sure yet. But I'll let people know when I do. Talk to y'all later, and I hope you learned something. There's always more to learn. Peace out.